What if I told you that one man may have lived his entire life without ever seeing a woman? Not in a novel, not in some ancient fantasy, but in a story that many people still repeat as if it really happened. His name was Mihailo Tolotos, and according to legend, he was one of the most isolated men in modern history. The story begins in Greece, sometime around the middle of the 19th century. Mihailo Tolotos was supposedly born around 1856. His mother is said to have died shortly after giving birth, and the baby was then taken in by monks on Mount Athos, one of the most mysterious religious places in the world. Mount Athos is not just a mountain. It is a centuries-old monastic community, a spiritual world of silence, prayer, stone monasteries, and strict discipline. But what makes it truly unusual is one ancient rule: women are forbidden to enter. That single rule is what turned Mihailo Tolotos into a legend. According to the most famous version of the story, he was raised there by monks, spent his entire life inside that closed religious world, and never once left. If that is true, then it would mean something almost impossible to imagine. He lived from childhood to old age without ever seeing a woman's face. Think about that for a second. No mother, no sister, no wife, no daughter, no woman walking through a market, no stranger in the distance, no ordinary human contact with half the world. For Mihailo, women would have existed only as words, ideas, or stories told by others. That alone is enough to make this one of the strangest human stories ever told. But this is where things get interesting. The deeper you look into the story, the less solid it becomes. Mihailo Tolotos is mentioned all over the internet, in articles, fact lists, and mystery videos. The same details appear again and again. Born around 1856, died in 1938, raised on Mount Athos, never saw a woman. But when people try to trace the original evidence, the story starts to blur. There are very few clear historical records that prove every detail. No widely known official archive has completely confirmed his life the way the legend describes it. So what does that mean? Was he real? Was the story exaggerated? Or did a small religious anecdote grow over time into something much bigger than the truth? That is exactly why this legend refuses to die. It lives in that perfect place between fact and myth, believable enough to feel possible, mysterious enough to stay unforgettable. And to be fair, the story is not completely impossible. Mount Athos is real. Its ban on women is real. Its isolation is real. If a male child truly was brought there and never left, then yes, in theory, such a life could have happened. That is what makes the story so disturbing. It may sound unbelievable, but it does not sound impossible. And maybe that is why people are still obsessed with it. Because this is not just a story about one monk. It is a story about isolation, about boundaries, about what happens when a human being grows up inside a world that is completely cut off from normal life. Most of us cannot imagine a life without constant contact, constant noise, constant images. We live in a world where everything is visible all the time. But Mihailo Tolotos, if the legend is true, lived in the exact opposite reality, a closed world of silence, ritual, and separation. That raises deeper questions. What would that do to a person's mind? How would someone imagine the outside world if they had never truly seen it? Could a person live a full life while knowing only one side of humanity? Or would they simply adapt, accepting their small world as the whole world? That may be the most haunting part of the story. Maybe Mihailo never felt deprived at all. Maybe Mount Athos was not a prison to him. Maybe it was simply home. The bells, the prayers, the sea, the stone walls, the routines of monastic life. Maybe that was enough. Or maybe he lived inside a kind of silence so complete that he never even understood what he was missing. But there is another possibility too. Perhaps the story was never meant to be literal. Sometimes history turns symbolic phrases into dramatic facts. A statement like, "He lived apart from women," could over time become, "He never saw a woman." And once a story becomes dramatic enough, people repeat it without questioning it. That is how legends are born. Not always through lies, but through repetition, fascination, and the human hunger for extreme stories. Because ordinary lives do not become myths, extreme lives do. A monk living quietly in prayer is not global news, but a monk who never saw a woman. That becomes unforgettable. That becomes the kind of story people cannot stop retelling, and maybe that says something about us. Maybe we are not just interested in Mihailo Tolotos because of who he was. Maybe we are fascinated because his story represents something we fear and admire at the same time. Total separation from the world. A life without distraction. A life without freedom. A life that feels pure to some people and terrifying to others. So who was Mihailo Tolotos really? A real monk whose unusual life was only partly recorded. A rumor that grew larger with every retelling. A mystery shaped by faith, isolation, and human imagination. The truth is simple. We do not know for sure. But maybe that uncertainty is exactly why the story still survives. Because the most powerful legends are not always the ones that are fully proven. They are the ones that leave the door slightly open, just enough for curiosity to keep breathing. And Mihailo Tolotos remains exactly that, a shadowy figure standing between history and myth, between silence and legend, between what may have happened and what people desperately want to believe.